Alright, welcome back to the YouTube channel and to a brand new YouTube digital art tutorial where today I will be trying to create my own Bryan Adams C inspired silhouette edit. And on my screen now, or in front of your screen as well, is an example of one of Bryan Adams C's silhouette edits. He has a bunch of cool different silhouette edits. You can go check it out on his Instagram. I'll leave a link below. He's a brilliant photographer. He's an amazing filmmaker. You can check out some of his videos on YouTube as well. And all that will be linked below. So in front of us, like I said, we have an example of one of his silhouettes. And really quickly, we're just going to take a look at it and break it down into three main parts. And those three parts are one, the sky, which I'd say is the most important part, which is sort of our base or our background layer. Second thing is the silhouette, which is down here. You can see he's got all these subjects. He's got a bit of birds as a silhouette. And the third thing is the stars and the moon. And those three things are sort of what makes up this composition or his silhouette edit. And what we're going to do is sort of replicate that, but obviously we're not going to copy it and make the same edit. We're going to take the same three elements and create our own silhouette edit with our own sky stock photo and our own subjects and our own, everything else. So let's close this up. I have a few stock images I've selected. This will be part of the silhouette, this Golden Gate Bridge. We have a subject that's in motion, and we have our sky. So let's first select the sky layer. Command C, let's close this up, and Command V, paste it on our blank 4000 by 5000 pixel canvas. Let's resize this. Now notice how this silhouette sky picture already has a silhouette. Obviously, we can sort of make our edit without it and start off like this, and we can obviously add our own silhouettes there, add our own like mountain and all that stuff. But since the photo already has a silhouette, I'm not going to waste it. I'm just going to use it. So I'll just resize it like so. We're just going to keep this silhouette. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but if I zoom in real close, maybe you guys can see that there's a slight difference in the silhouette color. It's a bit darker down here, a bit lighter down here. I'm not a big fan of that, so I'm just gonna make this all one color. So we're gonna go select a color from here, which is a little off black. You can tell because this is pure black, like 100% black. We select here, it's a little off black, it's a little faded, almost a dark blue, super dark blue. We're gonna take that color, we're gonna go into our quick selection tool. I'm just gonna select the bottom. It'll do a rough job, not a big deal because it's going to be silhouette anyways, doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to create a new clipping layer so it only affects this layer, and it'll only affect this selection. We're going to go to our paint bucket tool and just fill this with the same color. And notice how before, after, it's just one color now. It's a little cleaner, I'd say. And now we can sort of merge these together, and that becomes our new sky background. And secondly, I'm not a big fan of the orange. I prefer more pinkish, reddish sunset here with a more cyan sky. So what we're going to do is go to Filter and then go to Camera Raw Filter, which will bring up this sort of Lightroom interface for us to work with. So first of all, the colors, right? Let's go over to our calibration, our camera calibration. You could do it in the HSL and like shift the hues from blues to cyan and whatnot, but I think for me, in this case, it'll be much easier to use calibration because as I shift the blue primary a bit more to the cyan, it'll also affect the oranges. So I'll do two birds with one stone, you could say. So notice how when I shift this down, it changes not only the color of the sky to a more cyan, it also makes our oranges a little more red, like so. So this is before at 0, and as I shift this, it'll be a bit more red and make our sky a little more cyan. Like so. And also with the red primary, you can shift it either to the right to make it more orange again, or shift it to the left to make it more red. I'm just going to bring it to the left a little bit, like so. I'd say that's pretty good. And that's our new sky background layer, base layer. I'm trying to keep this video fairly short, so excuse me if I'm rushing through things a little bit. You can always pause and rewind and go back and see what I just did. So now we're going to move our bridge into this photo. Let's just select it out right now. We'll just make a quick box around it. We're going to go to Select, Color Range, which I say does a pretty good job selecting subjects out of a background sky. I'm just gonna click on our background, and notice how it already selects out and it shows us this sort of mask of its selection. You can change a different type of selection or preview, and we're just gonna keep it black matte. That's the one I like. I'm just gonna select out so then the sky becomes faded, but the bridge is still intact. I'm gonna press OK, and that'll select the sky. Notice I select the sky. So we're gonna go to our selection tool. We're just gonna right click and select the inverse, which will be our bridge, and we can mask that. And that's our bridge masked. Forget about all this kind of side. Just gonna go here. I'm just gonna merge this into one layer. Sorry. And then we're gonna select this bit. Command C, close that. Don't need to save that anymore. And Command V. And there's our bridge. Cool. So now notice how it didn't select out the strings or whatever part of the bridge is called. Sorry, I don't know the actual technical term. I'm not an architect or bridge architect. Or these sort of rod things. So what we're gonna do is make a new layer on top of it. Just gonna make it a clipping layer so it only affects the layer beneath it, which is our bridge layer. Again, we're gonna choose the same silhouette color that we have down here. And we're just gonna go to our fill tool, paint bucket tool, and just press once. And that'll fill that layer up. And that makes our bridge silhouette. Notice how it sort of fills up the lines here. It's not perfect, but we can always brush over if we'd like. I'm just gonna leave it. It's not a big deal because we're gonna scale it down a little bit, so it'll be fine. So let's put that into one layer, merge it so that that's one layer. Let's resize it and place it where we want. I sort of want it on the right side here, sort of exactly like that. And notice how our selection wasn't perfect. It still selected parts of the sky, so that's why I've got this awkward line going around. I'm just gonna quickly go to our masking tool, set our color to black. Remember, black removes and white brings back. Select a black color. I'm just gonna brush away at the edges here, like so. And there's our bridge in our silhouette edit. Great. Let's merge that into one layer because I don't really want this mask. There's our bridge and there's our sky. Now let's work to get our subject in. I'm just going to take this whole picture and paste it here, and we're going to select out our subject. Let's zoom right in. We're going to press M for our selection tool, our rectangular marquee selection tool. It's going to select around the subject like so. I don't want to bring part of the trees in because it's roughly the same darkness or shade as the subject, so when we color range it, it'll be a little confusing. We can just select our subject, go to color range, and let's select out the sky. We're going to do the same thing as we did with our Golden Gate Bridge selection. Select the sky, press OK, and then we're going to select the inverse so it only selects our subject. And now we can work to refine our selection a little bit. So notice how it didn't select parts of her leg. We're going to go to our quick selection tool. Just going to make this brush size a little smaller and just add parts of her leg back in like so. And Photoshop does a pretty good job of recognizing that edge. And as well as parts of her clothing. Not going to be a big deal if it isn't perfect, because remember, in the end it is going to be a silhouette. And we're going to darken everything out, so not all the details will remain present. So let's just make a rough selection, like so. In the interest of time, I'm just going to really quickly do this. Usually I'd be more precise and use the Refine Edge tool, but I want to make this a pretty short video, so these like parts of that, of her hair, like that. And I'd say that'll do. And that's our selection done. So with the rest of this, we can just select like so, and we're gonna make it black and white and delete. Make our foreground color white, and then I'm just gonna delete, and then that'll get rid of all the edges or parts of, or all the pressing the Siri button on my touch bar by accident when I press delete. All right, cool. That's pretty good. We're gonna work on these edges a little bit now. So with our brush set to black to remove, just gonna brush away this weird line from our selection, like so, and brush away some of the impurities in our selection here on the edge as well. Cool. And now for the silhouette, same thing, new layer, clip it, go to our color picker, let's pick part of the silhouette down here, press OK, go back up, and fill. And you can see parts of the sky that we didn't select so nicely. So we can go here, we can go to quick selection, and we should be able to select out, let's make this a bit bigger, select out the edges that we don't need, like so, and we're just gonna brush away with black on our mask, just to get rid of those weird remaining sky that we didn't select, that we didn't mask out, I mean. Whoops. Wrong layer. Parts, there's some over here, a little bit over there. I'm just gonna brush away. Cool, that leaves our subject and the silhouette. So let's merge that into one layer. Let's flip it horizontally so she's facing this way. I'm just gonna drop her down, make her a little bit smaller. Drop her down like so. And there's our subject. Right, so now let's add in our birds. Sorry for the weird jump cut or little cut there. I went to go look for a quick bird stock and I found this one. So we're just gonna take the birds from here. Just gonna select parts of that. Gonna go select color range once again. And I'd say that's already a pretty good selection of our sky. Cool. And then we're gonna invert it to select the birds, and oops, I just forgot we should probably bring this layer to our canvas first. Great. And then now we can color range it so we can have the whole image masked in case we need to bring back parts of the image. Not that I'm going to, I only really need the birds, but it's always a good precaution just to keep the rest of the image in case you really need it when you go back. So let's select the birds, which is black. I'm just gonna color range that, okay. And mask this, we don't need to invert it this time because I made our selection over the birds instead of the sky. And never mind, I guess I did not select the inverse. Okay, sorry, I guess the color range just didn't work out as planned. Let's go back in and do it again. Select color range, select the birds. Bring down the fuzziness. Let's select the sky instead. I think selecting the sky is probably much better in this case. Like so. Let's select the inverse, which is our birds, and mask. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Once again, let's remove these edges. Make it white and delete. White and delete. Delete. And delete. Notice how there's this weird fringing around the birds. No big deal. It's going to be silhouette anyways. New layer above. Clip it. Same color as our previous silhouette down here. And I'm just going to, once again, fill. And that'll fill in the birds. Merge that into one layer. And that's our birds done. Let's drag this down. We'll have the birds sort of like right there. I'll rotate it at an angle and put it here. I don't really want this one bird on the edge. I think it's a little too long. So I'm just going to erase that and put that in the middle. Like so. Great, so the last step obviously is our moon and stars, which should be one of the easiest steps. So let's start with the moon. Create a new layer for the moon. And I have some moon brushes. I download all my brushes from brusheezy.com. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to go check it out. They've got a bunch of different brushes for like plants, trees, stars, moons, whatnot. So we're just going to select a little moon. I want a little crescent. Make our color white, and we're just gonna brush like so. And that's our moon. We're gonna resize it. I want a small crescent, sort of like this. And I'm just gonna put it in the middle, like that. It could be a little smaller actually, so I'm just gonna make it slightly smaller, like so. That is looking clean and pretty much what I want. We can make it glow a little bit more if we zoom in and we create a layer underneath. We can make it white. We can go to our brush tool and just sort of, with a 100% opacity, we're just going to press once, and then we're just going to make this, I believe, overlay, and we can lower the opacity. Let's actually make it, set it back to, is this, no, not soft light. Set it back to normal, lower the opacity. No, just kidding, overlay is, yeah. I was thinking that normal could look good, but overlay just blends with the sky background a lot better. And that gives our moon just a little bit of glow. Nothing too big. Let's make the glow a bit smaller. Like so. Just a bit of glow. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Now with our moon layer done, we can work with our stars now and work on our stars. Create a new layer. We're going to call this stars. And I noticed on Bryan Adams C's silhouette edits, his stars are different intensity or like opacity levels, you could say. Some of them are more are like at 100% opacity and super bold and super bright, while some of them in the background are smaller and a little more faded. So let's start with our bigger ones and using the Phlearn star brush here from the Phlearn YouTube channel. They have a video explaining how to add stars to your photos. That's where I got the star brush, and I use it every time. It's my favorite one. So with the star brush, we're going to make the brush size a little bit bigger and set our opacity 100 and flow to 100. We're just going to brush in some stars here. So these are our big and super bright stars, like so. And then we're going to make our flow maybe like 60, make the brush size a lot smaller. We're just going to brush in the faded stars in the back, like so. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all up to your liking or to your taste. So a lot of people like a lot of stars, and a lot of people like, you know, just a few stars. I like a good amount, like that. We're gonna remove a bit of the stars down here because we want the stars to mainly stay up here. So we're just gonna go with our eraser tool, set the flow to 100, and just erase the stars that we don't want down here and around the moon, like so. Just gonna get rid of these ones as well, and those ones, and that's more or less about it. That is the edit. I'll obviously bring this into Lightroom and do a bit of color grading and bits and bobs there to, you know, finalize everything. But that is the composition. So to recap, we've got our stars, our moon, a little bit of moon glow. We've got our birds, we've got our subject, we've got our bridge, and we've got our background layer. And that is it. If you guys like this tutorial, please do leave a like or leave a comment and let me know below. If you guys like this type of content and want more digital art tutorials or videos like that, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have my Instagram and stuff linked below. You can follow me there and check out more of my digital art and also some of my own account with my own photography. Yeah, that's it for this video. See you guys in the next one.